Let's go ahead and start reading our brand new book, A Creature of Colossal Size. Now, we're going to see the word colossal quite a lot in our book, but that word means huge. So know that when we see the word colossal, that means huge. Now, let's go ahead and read. A creature of colossal size. Without warning, a gigantic twisting tentacle bursts out of a dark sea. As flexible as a human hand, it snatches a sailor from the deck of his ship. A single scream pierces the night. The sailor and the creature are gone. When the seas were still largely uncharted, sailors and fishermen told stories like this about a mythic monster of the deep. Norwegian sailors described a spider like creature as big as an island. Its long arms could wrap around the masts of a ship and drag it to the bottom of the ocean. Or the monster could create a gigantic whirlpool as it dove back into the depths, pulling the ship down with it. Sailors and storytellers called the creature the Kraken. Drawings of this mysterious beast bore a strong resemblance to what we know now as the giant squid. In 1874, a newspaper account of an actual encounter between a ship's crew and a giant sea creature inspired the French anchor Jules Verne to revise a book he was writing. As the paper reported, a sea captain claimed that he had ordered his crew to fire on a many armed sea monster, which he believed was trying to climb aboard his ship. Riddled with rifle bullets and weighed down by cannonballs, the beast finally sank beneath the waves. Verne put his tale to work in his fiction. An attack on Captain Nemo and the crew of the Nautilus by a squid of colossal size became the most famous scene in Verne's book, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Let's pause there and write a gist. Remember that a gist is a short retelling of the text. And in this page, we read that there are tales and stories of a giant creature out in the sea. Let's go ahead and keep reading. Before we read, let's take a look at the illustration on the left side of our page. Now let's read our page number 6, Early Clues. Eventually, these bizarre or strange creatures, or at least evidence of them, began to show up in more than just seafarers' tales. In the 1700s and 1800s, many captains of whaling ships were amateur naturalists, people who study nature. They recorded what they observed in their ship's logs. Some of these captains hunted sperm whales, the largest toothed whales that ever lived. When they hauled their catch on board, they often noticed strange circular scars on the whale's head and jaws. These scars suggested a fierce wrestling match with some enormous beast. But what creature could take on a 70-ton whale? Let's take a look at this caption here. We'll see the rest of the photograph in the next page. In 1861, a French warship encountered a sea monster. This sailor harpooned it several times, but only succeeded in hauling it back up the end of the beast. However, that was enough to identify their prize as a giant squid. We're going to see this word harpooned in the next few pages. Harpooned means that there were fishermen or sailors who would hunt these whales with a long spear. Harpooning means, or harpooned means they were hunting the whales with a long spear, and that's how they would catch them. So every time you hear that word harpooned, know that they were hunting the whale with a long spear. Before we continue reading, let's take a look at our gist for this page. Whaling captains started to notice scars on the whales they caught, which made them wonder what was big enough to fight them. Let's keep reading. Inside the stomachs of the whales was another mystery: waxy balls of a smelly substance called ambergris. These oily lumps are made by the digestive juices of whales. Ambergris coats any hard object a whale swallows that could irritate its stomach. In the center of the lumps, sailors found what looked like large birds' beaks. So let's talk about that a little bit. Ambergris is something that was found in whales' stomachs. And if there was something that they ate that could hurt the stomach or make their stomach upset, the ambergris makes a coating around it, kind of wraps that object up so that the whale can swallow it and not be hurt inside of their stomach. Now let's take a closer look at the photograph on the right side of the page. Take a look at the photograph, and now let's read the caption to learn more about what this photograph is about. Fresh ambergris from a whale's stomach stinks, but over time it mellows into an attractive fragrance used in expensive perfumes. So take a look at the photograph. This looks like ambergris. There is an object inside of this coating, and it is showing us what ambergris looks like inside a whale. And it also lets us know that it does not smell very good at first, but over time, it actually smells really great. And some perfumes have ambergris inside of them. Now take a look at the next photograph and take a look at the question. Did sperm whales eat birds? Let's see if that question will be answered in the next few pages. However, before we discover the answer to that question, let's take a look at what we read on this page. We learned that birds' beaks covered in ambergris were found inside whales' stomachs.